So I got a message today from somebody on Reddit, I should say, and I thought I would share my opinions on it. It was an actual message, like not like somebody posted anything or part of a forum. It was just a message, because apparently you can do that in there. Because I don't ever get on Reddit, I don't really know much about the inner workings of it. I don't think I've ever used the messaging system in Reddit, but maybe once to like maybe a customer service person or something for some forum. Anyways, that's off topic. So I got a message today, and it is from a person who wants to remain anonymous, which I understand based on this conversation. And I'll post maybe little screenshots of like our conversation or whatever, but I'll make sure to take out the name and whatnot and any thing that would be Googleable to find this person. But they were asking a very heartfelt, they really wanted my help. So it started off by saying, hello, I am convicted in California. Can we chat? And I said, what's up? And they said they were convicted in 2011. They did some years in federal prison, and lots of coverage was done on this case. I have not had an interview in 10 years since getting out. Do you think it is because employers Google me? Thanks for any feedback. And this person has been working. They have had jobs, from what I've seen, and they've told me, but they're looking to better their life and they want to do something more with their career. And I told them, I said, let me spend some time thinking about this, because I was working and I wanted to make sure I gave a response back that was as heartfelt as what I would hope that they're trying to reach out and ask for assistance. I wanted to be able to match that tone, because I'm familiar with this, actually. I dealt with this not too often, but often enough. And I, especially when doing hiring events, and I would be all of a sudden like blindsided, because I didn't realize that the person in front of me, who was this great candidate and had like checked off all these boxes, and then asks me, hey, is it going to be a problem if I have X, Y, and Z on my background, or if I have these felonies or whatever. And for the company I was working for, it was a problem. So there's two ways I like to think of it. And I'm going to answer his question, but there's is it better to tell them up front so you're not wasting anybody's time so you can move on? Or do you want them to get to know the person you are and the person that you've become? If you've moved on, you've grown up, you're not that person anymore that happened decades ago, and you want to show that to a potential employer. Do you reserve that information for a later time? What is the proper way to handle that? And it really depends on the person, the company, the type of work you're going to be doing. And so there's a lot of factors that go into it. I wish that the person had told me up front right away, so that way they're not wasting my time? Not necessarily, because, honestly, even though there are certain jobs like I knew I wouldn't get if I went to apply somewhere, I still want to get the practice of just like practicing for an interview or for that company so it's okay just to utilize company. Listen, one of the things I got to tell you guys, do not invest your whole life into a company, because they're not going to, you're just a number. You can be laid off at any point, at any job. There's no loyalty for for all companies. It's a bottom line. It's all it is. There are inner workings to protect the business, and you're not it. So just always know you could be let go at any time. And because of that, I do not feel that it is wrong in certain situations to utilize companies to help you, because they're gonna they will be quick to burn you and not give you 2 weeks notice or whatnot. So I would be okay with an employee wanting to come in and practice their interview skills. If I was interviewing somebody and they just kind of wanted to get a feel for what it would be like to be interviewed by me or by our company, I'm okay with that. Like I actually respect that. Actually, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like you actually are trying to take the time and do all this, even though we both know you're not going to get the job, but it's I can respect the game. So to answer your question, I know I'm getting like off on a tangent. So which is better, to do it at the beginning, at the end? My thing is, don't lie. That's the number one thing. If there's anything else you take out of this video, do not lie. And that means, and that's even for people who that do not have a felony background or like a criminal background. Even if you are a clean, squeaky clean person and you just want to kind of fudge a little bit on your education, fudge a little bit on this job you did, do not lie. I know there are so many people who can just create a quick resume or that can make themselves look really good on paper. And you're thinking like, oh, I can get away with it, or I can, fake it till I make it kind of thing. And yeah, like you can get the job. Yeah, you can talk the game to get in there and get the job. But here's the thing. When HR or the background people finally catch up with all the applications or applicants, because I've seen this so many times, and it won't happen like right when you get employed. It won't happen while you're in training. It won't even happen like in your first month or two while you're on the job. It happens like 6 months and it just comes out of nowhere. You're not expecting it. And you're just doing your job. All of a sudden you get this call from HR and they want to see you. And guess what? They finally caught up on your resume and they caught up on your background, and they finally they finally got around to it, because sometimes they do this. Sometimes HR and recruiters get backed up. I've seen it many a times in my company. They get backed up to 6 months backed up. And then when they finally get around to it and you think you're all warm and cozy in your position, you're walked right out. Because why? You lied about something. And it doesn't have to be even something big. It could be something as simple as like, you said you went to college and you didn't, or you had a job title at this company and you didn't, or you said you worked at this company and you didn't, or there's so many things and the reason why it's like that is because you're dishonest. So when you are applying for these jobs, even though you may want to just kind of like fudge a little bit or think it's not going to hurt anything, or your resume is it may help you in the short term, but it's going to hurt you in the long run if you're just all of a sudden blindsided by a layoff, or not a layoff, it's a termination at that point. They're going to terminate you, and you're not going to see it coming. And how horrible is that to feel every day that you're at work and you just know that you could be potentially walked out? Like I would not want to work, or I would not want to come into work every day on eggshells, like stay of the day. That's a horrible feeling, so I just don't put yourself through that stress. Just be honest and be upfront about your criminal background, because either they're going to find out, and wouldn't you rather be hired with a company that knows, or just is okay with it? So here's to this person who wrote out to me. Here's what I'm going to say. Do not lie on your resume. I hope you invested that time wisely while you were in there, and I know you did, because you told me what you did while you were in there, and I'm proud of you for doing those things, because that's going to help fill in those gaps. So when you all of a sudden are going to have to explain these few years of, what did you do for 4, 5, 6 years, it looks so much better from a hiring perspective that you spent those years doing something productive to better yourself, to better the community, to better your peers, to educate them, to help them get their GEDs, to help them learn a skill or a trade. And because then you can put those on your resume to fill in the gaps. And that's going to look so much better than just all of a sudden a 6-year, what did you do for 6 years? Well, and then it's like, okay, but what did you do during those 6 years? I know where you were, but what did you do? And so it's going to look so much better. And I wish, and it's so hard to like, for people who are in there, and I'm like, it's kind of hard to like tell them, hey, before you go into prison, make sure you spend your time wisely, because you don't know if you're going to prison. It's all of a sudden just comes out of nowhere. Well, you'd think it was going to come out of nowhere, but some of these people know they're about to go. But I just think that if they spent the time wisely while they're in there, they got some education, some skills, some trades. The best job to get when you get out of prison is work for yourself. because then you don't have to worry about ever getting laid off. You don't have to worry about, the boss finding out about your background, and you're your own boss. So I hope that your skills of what you've learned and the things that you've been able to accomplish can possibly help in that area, like get you be self-employed. And so if you're able to do that and maybe start doing some kind of little side hustle to build up a business, I would recommend doing that. I see what you're doing right now as far as your jobs go, and I know it probably feels like it's a very dead-end jobs and you're not getting the fulfillment that you want out of it. But honestly, even with a college background and like a bunch of that's just like probably about 90% of everybody who's working in the workforce. A lot of them are in dead-end jobs, not going anywhere, not fulfilling their dreams. So I know that's what it feels like, that because you're thinking you're not getting these jobs because of that background. I don't think it's because you're worried that these employers are Googling you. I don't think it's that. They're not Googling you. What it is it's the background checkers that check your social, your information that you hand over. They're the ones who run it through a database and pops out your information. Nobody's Googling you. So I don't want you to be paranoid or thinking in these interviews that they already know all your information. They don't know that. But usually they try to screen ahead of time. So if it's like a planned interview, they can usually tell the candidate up front and just say, hey, look, if you have, X, Y, and Z on your background, don't bother go ahead and coming in or applying or whatnot, because they already know that they it's not even the company. It's like they can't, some companies just cannot hire them because of their contracts, the regulations, the laws that, they have to follow. So they're under scrutiny. So it's not like they're trying to be, they're being mean. It's just that they have to. And that was one of the companies I worked for until I was laid off a year ago. So, and that's the other thing too, you guys, if just because you got the job, if you mess up while you have that job, so you go do something crazy in that while you're in your career, they run background checks throughout the year. So don't think just because you got the job and you're in, you can go do stupid stuff. No, they once a year they check backgrounds. Or if you move around in the company, so that happened to me. I moved from Texas to Arizona because I was moving within the company to a whole new location to help run a whole new site. Guess what? I was honestly, they wanted to drug test me, background check me. And I'm like, I've been working here for 2-3 years. Y'all know me. They didn't care because it was with a new partnership inside the company. They want to make sure all the employees that are going to be running this division are, moving up in the company and moving around the company and just staying with the company, they're going to find out. Okay. So just be upfront, be honest, and just own it, just say it. And also look for companies. I think there's certain websites and certain organizations that have, they'll let you know if they hire people with criminal backgrounds. So I would maybe start there if you haven't already. And then, like I said, start doing a side hustle. Honestly, make a YouTube channel. Do what you're good at, whatever you learned, or the skills of teaching. You're educating some of the people that were in there. Maybe make I don't know, that's for you to figure out. But I'm just saying, side hustle your life, because you can make yourself happy. And also, my side hustle is resumes. Send me your resume. If you have a resume, I know you sent me your website of what your careers and your past and everything. Thank you for sending that to me. But if you have an actual resume and you want me to look at it, send it my way. I'll take a look at it. For anybody else who wants me to do their resumes or look at their resumes, I highly recommend watching my other 2 videos that I did on resumes, and why you shouldn't use Indeed to look for jobs apply for jobs, and some of the common mistakes people make on resumes. I did a video on that. Go back and watch those. That may help you. And if you still need a second pair of eyes to help you and look at your resume, I'm here to assist with that. I do charge for that though. I charge for a whole revamping of your resume, restructuring it, rebuilding it. I do $100 for that. If you need me just to edit your resume, I do that for like $30. And you guys can ask for examples. I'll show you examples of my work. I'm very open and upfront about the things I can provide to you, as far as like what services I'm able to show, and like, hey, this is what I can make your resume look like, a before and after, before we get started. Because I spend days, like if I do a resume, I will spend probably about 2 to 3 days nitpicking it over, because I honestly just love doing resumes. I know, like I've said it before, I'm like a huge nerd when it comes to resumes. They just get me so excited. I don't know why. They just, like, I'm smiling right now thinking about a resume. That's so stupid of me. Anyways, so those are my thoughts on people who have a criminal background. And sir, I wish you all the best in your journey. If you want to continue to reach out to me for any other questions that you may have, more specifically to your case of your situation, ask me. I'll be more than happy to give you my guidance. But I felt that this was going to be too long to text you, so I made it a video for you. So hope you found this informative and helpful. But anybody else who has questions, write them in the comment section. I'll answer your questions for people who have criminal backgrounds and things that maybe that will help you. And if you need help with your resumes, let me know. I can, we can fill it out. Even though you may have been gone for years, we can still fill it out, make it look good. All right, that's all I have for you guys. Bye.